Thank you, Bhatia ji, for that elucidatively elaborated Mere Khabo Mein Jo Hai story. Awesome. So my name is Smiti. I'm one of the founders of Advantage Club, which is a global employee experience platform focused on rewards, recognition, communities, flexi benefits, and others. Today, we're going to talk about a really, really interesting topic, which is primarily around engagement strategy being future-proof. The reason I say the word future-proof is that the world has constantly been changing over time. We went through the great resignation, the great depression, the great firing, from quiet quitting to, kind of forcing employees or kind of forcing quietly employees to ask them to leave and all of that. So things are changing so vastly and so rapidly in general that creating an engagement strategy becomes extremely important because of that. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So the reason I want to talk about this particular topic today is because there's a firm belief which I have is that people might join a company because it's a great place to work, but they will stay back only if they feel engaged in the organization. If they feel that, and we were doing this roundtable event with Bhatia ji earlier, and on our table we were having this discussion around what does the Gen Z or millennial want, or what do people in different age groups want. And there was this wonderful woman on our table, and she said that I'm 25 years old. I'm not, I wish I was. But she said, I'm 25 years old, so let me tell you my thought process, that my generation people, we are accused of leaving every year. But we're not those people. We will not leave every year. We will stay in a company if we feel that the company is respecting us, if they are giving us proper ownership, if they are giving us a sense of purpose of being in that organization. So maybe that mindset which we have around millennials and Gen Zs being job hoppers may not be true, and it can be changed when we have a great engagement strategy in place, which works for all different types of job descriptions, works for all ages, works for all genders, diversity, everything. So primarily, let me also talk about a little bit of the facts of, what engagement looks like today. And overall, only 21% of the global workforce is actually engaged at work. And these are all Gartner numbers. I'm not making them up. Typically from, if you look at Southeast Asian countries, including India and other Southeast Asia, the number is engagement level is just at 33%. So there's a lot of gap which needs to be covered, and there's a lot of opportunity to create a better experience for employees in the workplace. So let me first talk about the now of employee engagement. Like, what does employee engagement look like now? And then we'll talk about what it can look like in the future. So today we have engagement primarily divided in these specific categories. One is we have a globally dispersed workforce today. COVID changed everything, right? So overnight, all of the people in this room had to create structures for employees to start working from home, working from anywhere. And today we have a work from home, work from office, work from cab, work from Manali, work from US or wherever, right? So the workforce has become so globally distributed. Not only your current country workforce is hard to track and engage, even globalization has dawned upon, because of which different countries are no longer countries in nature. It's like one company. You're working in a company, whether you're in India, you're in Philippines, you're in Singapore, doesn't matter. You're part of that company. So that presents to itself a bunch of challenges. Second, we have digital workplaces, which is like a obvious post cursor of that. And today, we have people who focus on authority versus autonomy. And there's this big debate which always happens that, do you give people the authority or do you give people the autonomy in terms of how you want to work or how you want to make decisions in the companies? So today what has happened is work has become what we are doing. Work is not where we are actually doing the work. This has actually added to increase in attrition cost, because of which people are trying to find different ways of driving recognition programs, engagement programs. Peer-to-peer has become very popular, which was not there that much a few years ago, where we have identified that, okay, recognition is not just about giving money. Sometimes you give a good thank you or a nice job or a well done to somebody else, and that works out. And we've also moved from your blanket benefit structures to customized benefit structures. I cannot give a standard gym membership to my employees today. Nobody cares about it. I mean, you give it to me, I don't even use the gym, which is evident from how I look. So I wouldn't prefer that. I would prefer maybe a meditation, because I have a very high stressful role. Running a company is fun, but it's stressful. So I would prefer something which is more focused on mental wellness than physical wellness. Some other employee might prefer a doctor consultation package. Some might prefer a medical package. So blanket benefits don't work for people anymore. And we as companies, we've realized that today. And people have started respecting the power of choice for employees. Lastly, and I think one of the tables in the roundtable also spoke about moonlighting. That has also changed tremendously, right? So now we just don't have on payroll and contract employees, right? You have gig economy. People are so comfortable working in contract or doing their own thing that there is actually full economy setup of people who are just doing gigs. There is moonlighting, which has happened. And the other day, I was speaking to the CHRO of a very large IT conglomerate. And he said that once we found a guy in our company, I'll not say the name, doing 12 jobs at the same time. I was like, how is that even possible? And he's like, not just 12 like any company jobs, 12 large company, like well-known IT companies. If I ask you to write down 12 largest IT companies, he was working in all of them. And the way they caught him was, there was this CHRO or head of HR of another company who was visiting, and that person identified that this person was also working for us. So it's insane. And it was a kind of a call center-ish job. So, it's easy to kind of do your chat processes, keep switching, screens and keep doing those chat processes because you're not at office, right? So that has also become very, very interestingly a reality for us today, where people have more options, which was the other way around earlier, where people never had any options. So what does the future of employee engagement or experience would look like in general? That's what I want to focus on. One is, because we are so distributed as a workforce today, it is really, really important to do as much technological advancement in HR as we can. Already a lot has been done. If you think about where HR tech was 5-6 years ago and where HR tech is today, it's ounces of work which has happened over the past 6 years. But I don't think that's enough. I think there is a lot of scope in terms of technology, adoption, in terms of innovation, which can happen in HR as well. Tools need to replace processes. A lot of it has already happened. We had a lot of these digitized tools which have replaced a lot of those cumbersome Excel spreadsheet processes which used to happen earlier, and that will happen even more further going ahead. Again, I always talk about examples, and once I was talking to this, HR of one particular company, and I was telling them that how is your travel is still, kind of manual. So they still had a travel desk where somebody would call, and this lady would pick up, and she'd be like, okay, you want this ticket to be booked, and she'd book that ticket. And I said, we can automate that. Forget about us, anybody can automate that. And he said, but unki naukri kha jaoge aap. And I was like, it's not about naukri khana, it's about utilizing that person's efforts for something which can be utilized in a better manner. So tools have already started replacing processes, manual processes, and it'll keep happening in the future as well. And of course, unprecedented events is something which we all have to be prepared for. I think post-COVID, everyone has done that. In terms of, we used to, pre-COVID, only talk about, business continuity and disaster recovery. That has actually come in place today, and companies are much more resilient and much more prepared for any sort of event which can come in the future. Next is what I want to talk about, an agile workforce. And we've all moved, most of us have moved towards agility frameworks in general. A lot of companies are still moving towards it. I remember when I used to work for Microsoft, they were also using the agile framework, and that was very interesting to me that a company with hundreds of thousands of employees is agile, and they're using agile Scrum frameworks and all of that. A lot of it, when we started our own company, we also adopted because we learned from there. So a lot of large, massive conglomerates have also moved to the agile framework, and in future, everyone will have to be more agile because everything is changing so constantly. All your frameworks also need to be prepared to adopt to those changes really fast. Non-monetary benefits are greater than monetary benefits, and the reason I say this is because cash is cash. Giving a third example, there's this client we work with, and she was telling me that every time somebody's child gets at least 70% in 10th, we give that person 20,000 rupees. I said, that's amazing. So she's like, but the problem is nobody knows that they're getting that 20,000 rupees. I said, why? She's like, because we process it in payroll. Now, these people get that 20,000 and they think maybe it's part of my tax return which I had filed last year. So I said, you're giving that much of money, you're spending as an organization and nobody knows about it. So that's where non-monetary benefits come in place, where you are, one, creating a hype around the entire process. The person is aware, the person is thankful, and the person's family is also involved in that particular thing. Second, the whole structure around utilization becomes clear to you. Where did that person use that 20,000 rupees? Whether they used it or they didn't use it, you don't know. But by giving a non-monetary setup where they get maybe certain gifts in kind, it could be products, gifts, vouchers, points, whatever, it creates a sense of gifting, a sense of celebration around actually giving somebody that gift. And last, transactional engagement to overall mental engagement. Companies and work generally has been very transactional in nature in the past, that I come to work, I do my job, I get paid, okay, thank you, bye-bye. That has changed now. Transactional engagement does not work anymore. People want more. They want to feel that they belong to an organization. They want to feel that there is a purpose, and purpose was one of our topics in the roundtable, which we did as well, that they want to feel that there's a purpose of them being in this company. Why am I here, right? They want to feel that their inputs matter, their feedback is taken seriously, and the fact that they are an important constituent of the organization and not just like a number, employee ID card, which is just being put in the company. So primarily, what comes in play is recognition there, and key trends to drive recognition to create belongingness are here on the screen in front of you. First is, we need a differentiated reward strategy in terms of new age models. And I spoke about it earlier, where one size does not fit all anymore. So giving a better gift of choice, at the same time creating a strategy in which people know why they are getting rewarded. Link it to your core behavioral values, link it to your core cultural values. What is the reason why I'm getting awarded? Is it because I'm my manager's favorite? No. It's because I have followed these 10 steps which were required to actually reach to that reward structure itself. Personalization, I already spoke about it. Personalization can go beyond a level than giving just choices as well. And one of the things we focus on here is how can we utilize the power of AI or ML to create a personalized basket of rewards for people which actually makes sense for them. Larger cultural and global reach is required in rewards. You can't do the same recognition structures for each geography. Every country, every region works differently. Southeast Asia works very differently as compared to US. Europe works very differently as compared to MENA. So if you're doing a global recognition or rewards program, it is important to have the right cultural reach, create the right strategies and the right types of awards which are relevant. Remote and work hybrid culture needs to be taken into consideration. If you are doing a physical gifting structure, you need to move it to a phygital or a digital gifting structure. Data-driven insights are very important. Running a program is different. Ensuring that people are using it is completely different. So analytics, insights, ensuring that everything you do is data-driven. Why are we spending money on a particular engagement module? We need to have an answer to that. We need to understand what is the purpose and what is the data which is proving it to us that this is actually making a difference in our engagement, attrition, retention, whatever is it that we track, whether it's an ESAT score or whether it's a proper end-to-end attrition rate. Lastly, in recognition, we need to add a social aspect. If I tell a thank you to Bhatia ji personally, he'll like it. But if I tell a thank you to Bhatia ji in front of this whole, kind of audience, he will love it, right? So socializing the whole aspect of recognition becomes as important as the recognition itself because it doubles the value of that recognition. So how can we make it more social? How can we create a big hue and cry around what we are actually doing in terms of the great work an employee has done? That adds to another level of engagement in terms of recognition. Technology also plays a very important role when we are driving recognition, and there's a very common question that, great, we understand what needs to be done. How do we utilize technology to adopt, or how do we adopt it right to actually ensure that it gets our goals achieved? So first is automation. If you are giving birthday rewards or work anniversary rewards, people have that day, every year, right? So there's no out of the box thinking there that if I'm manually creating a list of birthdays every month and I'm sending them emails, it is absolutely painful and absolutely useless. You can utilize the power of automation where recurring rewards or things which can be predicted before the future in hand can be done without any manual intervention. Second is gamification. Now, giving a reward is great. Making people work for that reward, letting them see how their actions are actually converting into numbers is the most exciting part of it, right? Because then it's like a game. I'm playing that game and I'm jumping ahead of others and then people are competing with me. So it's healthy competition and drives the right KRAs for the organization. So gamification needs to be added as an additional layer on top of your rewards framework to ensure that people are also having fun while earning those rewards. Third is meta. And meta has become it was a buzzword a year ago. Now it's kind of become a little standardized in nature. But I still feel meta is very relevant because what meta does is it creates a virtual version of what you're doing in a digital piece, right? So if you have avatars, you have people who are virtually clapping for you, you have setups in which you can actually see the recognition in real time, animations, movements, that adds to another level of experience. Virtual recognition specifically for hybrid teams. And lastly, and this is one of my new ideologies, something we are dabbling with, NFTs. NFTs again became a very cool buzzword where you can actually have like a digital property somewhere and you can keep it for the rest of your life. So we thought, why not experiment it with rewards, right? Because if I get a physical trophy, I get that trophy at home and it's there with me for the rest of my life. But if I get a digital reward, it gets lost over time in emails. So we created a structure in which you can actually convert your rewards into non-fungible tokens, which is insane. And now I can just for like 10, 12 rupees or something, buy my reward and keep it as like a digital property for myself. It's really interesting how NFTs and all these interesting new technologies which have been coming in can be linked to all your recognition structures as well. Lastly, things are changing. Are we ready to face it? So there are different challenges which we'll have. One will be around technology adoption. We can deploy technology. How do we make people adopt to that technology? We need to run constant communication channels. We need to ensure that people are aware of the solutions provided to them. The company is spending so much of money on these programs. People need to be at least aware of it. Otherwise, it will be that same 20,000 rupees in your payroll and people think it's part of your tax benefits. Technology also needs to be automated and customized and used in the right manner so that there's minimum manual intervention required. Strategizing how you deploy the technology is even more important than that. And lastly, structuring your entire reward strategy, it's the most crucial thing of all. So I think primarily, one of the things which I want to focus on is speed, like how fast can we move with the changing structures of the world and how fast we can change our strategies compared to those structures to become future ready as an organization. So to thrive the future by design, we need to ensure that we are kind of acknowledging the fact around hybrids. Second, strategic innovation driven by technology. And thirdly, focusing on the big picture. End of the day, why are we running this structure? Why are we spending so much of money? Why are we running these programs? Why are 10 people in HR deployed towards this particular piece? What is the overall strategy? How it links to my company's core KRAs and behavioral values? We need to rethink tools that measure work. Uh, work is not just measured by KRA completion anymore. Work is also measured around organization behaviors. Work is measured around the, not just quantity, but also around qualitative work. Work is also measured around other factors, like how am I getting involved in the organization and how am I contributing beyond what is my basic expectation in the company. Second, once we define the way we need to identify the KRAs, we need to transform everything at our work accordingly. An employee half of the time does not know what he or she needs to do to actually get recognized. So giving clarity around that becomes extremely important. Giving a clear path to people in terms of their growth in their organization will also ensure that they're patient. They're not running around, they're not interviewing everywhere, and they know that, okay, if I do this, I have good things set for me. Flexibility, of course, is anyways a part of it where you have different challenges, different skill set development which comes in, and you have to create your flexible programs around that. And this is, again, something I want to talk about. We shouldn't talk about attrition. We should talk about employee happiness. And a lot of companies have now changed, like the chief people officer positions to also chief happiness officers. Why have they done that? Because there's a difference between thinking about an employee staying in the company and thinking about an employee being happy in the company. So the moment we start focusing on the happiness factor rather than attrition, retention, ESATs and all of those fancy buzzwords, if you just identify whether people are happy or they're not and why they are unhappy and create structures around it, that solves half of your problems. So yeah, I think primarily in terms of strategy design, there are a lot of different types of rewards which you can consider. We need to create those programs, we need to review them, we need to keep on restructuring programs also over time, because I launch a program today, in 3 months people will get bored about it. What's new? What's next? That needs to be a constant thought process for all people in general. Moments that matter also matter. Right from the day an employee joins to the day an employee leaves, it comprises of different parts in their life cycle, different moments which happen. If we can make an impact on those moments, that is where the maximum retention impact also comes in. Employees, just to summarize, employees today don't want their basic needs. They just don't work for salary. Our grandparents used to work for salary. Today's generation does not work for salary anymore. So overall, identifying the right programs, ensuring that people are aware of those programs. Thirdly, creating structures which are most relevant to them. And lastly, constantly re-evaluating and reimagining new structures is the future of work. So yeah, I'm going to skip through a few slides. So that's pretty much it from my end. Thank you so much. And like I said, I'm Smiti. I'm the founder of Advantage Club. We have a booth here. So if you have any questions around your reward strategy, any engagement structures which you're running, anything around employee experience, please come and chat with me. I'm right there. We won't sell to you. We'll just have a good chat. So happy to, I'm always excited to discuss about people's challenges, solutions, how they're running things. And I'm very passionate about HR tech in general. So would love to have a good conversation. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.